Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome to Transfers Live on Stretford, Paddock. I am Adam McKola, and we are back. It's me in the house today, and I'm on the ones and twos as well on my own. So excuse me if some of the graphics are a little bit delayed and all that kind of stuff, because I'll be fiddling around with them here and changing them as we go through this show. Hope you guys are all doing well. This evening or morning or afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. I know some of you watching from all around the world, so thank you for tuning in here on Stretford Paddock. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, you're liking, you're commenting, and all that good stuff, and keep your thoughts coming in on the show as well. I can already see a few of you in the comments. We've got people from New Jersey, Sudan, Kansas City, Denmark, Colderi in there. Exmouth. We got loads of you guys in the house, so thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you're keeping it locked to Stretford Paddock. As always, we're here for Transfers Live. Our headline isn't about a transfer, but it could have a knock-on effect on a potential transfer, because we've obviously got Dean Henderson, David De Gea, Tom Heaton and Lee Grant at the club at the minute. We've got a surplus of goalkeepers. We're paying a lot of wages. When you look at the wages that we're paying to Henderson and De Gea, that probably comes to just under £500,000 a week. That's a lot of money to be spending on your goalkeepers, especially if David De Gea is not going to be regarded as your number one. But with the news we're hearing today, he could be regarded as our number one going into the season, which could give him one last chance to keep his spot at Manchester United number one. And it could mean that we end up not letting go of one of those two goalkeepers, because those were the rumours that at least one of those keepers would be on the move this summer. It started to feel like Dean Henderson was going to be the number one. It was just left down to what was going to happen to David De Gea. Was he going to move back to Spain? Were we going to be able to find a move for him permanently or on loan or whatever? Because it wouldn't make sense for Man United to have those two goalkeepers there, especially David De Gea. He's going to be someone that regards himself as a number one. So this news that we're hearing today probably changes things a little bit there, with Dean Henderson looking likely to miss the start of the season, having had to withdraw from the pre-season training camp in Scotland due to his COVID. Now, he had COVID before, and it looks like he's suffering from long COVID, and as a result is getting fatigue, and he's going to miss the Manchester United training camp this week, which we saw the likes of Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, David De Gea, Paul Pogba, etc. turn up to today. So those players arrived to meet up with the team today. Those players that were involved in the Euros a little bit longer. So the pre-season training camp is taking place. Those players are involved, and Dean Henderson isn't involved. So that means he's probably going to start the season not involved in the first team, or at the very least on the bench, because he's not going to have that training ground and that pre-season fitness to fall back on. So will that give a big chance to De Gea to keep his number one spot? Or, like Johnny is saying in the comments, Tom Heaton number one, as I mentioned before on Stretford Paddock. Now, it's more of a premonition than a preference. I want David De Gea to succeed. I want him to remain as our number one. But I've got a feeling Tom Heaton could play a bigger role than we expect in the club this season. I feel like he could probably fight for that number one spot, especially when you look at the uncertainties in David De Gea last season, Dean Henderson last season. If injury or something like that was to happen, there's no reason why Tom Heaton couldn't come in and potentially take his chance. And I know that sounds a little bit far-fetched, but I don't think it is. And despite the little jokes we have on Paddock and stuff like that, with the lads about Tom Heaton becoming number one, I genuinely, there's a little feeling there that makes me think that's not that far off happening, you know. It really isn't. So Tom Heaton, Heat one, could be coming. Matthew Sargent, who may have suffered from it, says long COVID is no joke. I've been fortunate not to get it yet. Hopefully I don't be getting it. But obviously Dean Henderson had it and is still suffering from it. And it's believed this long COVID can remain with some of the people that get it, and they can have effects like this with his fatigue and stuff like that. So we'll get stuck into that story. We'll have a look at David De Gea as well, because Is it David De Gea's last chance at Manchester United with Dean Henderson being out? He starts the season as our number 1. So, if you're looking at that game on the 14th of August against Leeds, David De Gea will probably be between the sticks. Huge chance for him. Huge chance for him. And one that you think he's got to take. He has to take that chance now. And there's no messing about from David De Gea. I'm a big fan of his. I want to stand by him. I want him to fight back and earn his spot at Manchester United. But we've also got to be a little bit realistic and see that someone on his wages, if they're not performing, then they're going to be held accountable for it. And you probably can't keep them around for that long. It was the same with Alexis Sanchez. Now, I'm not comparing the two because obviously David De Gea has been a fantastic player for us. Been world-class for most of the years he's been at the club. Been one of the best goalkeepers, if not the best goalkeeper in the world for a long time, whilst at Manchester United. And when we were in the shit, he was someone that dug us out a lot. So I like to have a little bit of hope for David De Gea, but we have to be sensible. United have to be sensible with what they're doing. And you can't go, just allowing David De Gea to stay on big money if he's not contributing to the team. So he has to pull his weight this time around. And fingers crossed he does that. Fingers crossed he starts the season well. I think the lads posted a picture of the fixtures. So we've obviously got this game against Everton coming up. And then we've got, we've got Leeds at home, Southampton away, Wolves away, Newcastle at home, and West Ham away. So some tricky fixtures in there, but fixtures that we should be winning, and a big chance for David De Gea to reclaim his spot as Manchester United's number 1, with Dean Henderson being out. Now, we know Manchester United want to make some more moves in the transfer market, but they do look dependent on players going out. We've heard links with clubs to the likes of Diogo Dalot, Axel Tuanzebe, Andreas Pereira, Jesse Lingard, Brandon Williams. There's been a whole host of players linked with moves. Nemanja Matic has been another one because Granit Xhaka has fallen through to Roma. On loan or permanently, we've heard a few links here. And you think, United usually spend around 140, 150 million pounds a year on transfers. We've spent around 107 million at this moment in time. So with a few sales, with a few loans, when you're bringing in the fees, because it's believed we want a fee for Diogo Dalot, for example, 5 million, Tuanzebe the same, 5 million. You're bringing in those fees, you're being able to boost your transfer kitty a little bit more and open up the potential signings that you could get. Trippier, I think, is someone that we're targeting, and I think that one will happen late in the window. We've got a story on that soon. But also the midfielder, who is that going to be? Camavinga, Ruben Neves, Saul. These players have all been linked with United. Declan Rice is another name that pops up. As the days go by, I start to feel like it possibly could be Ruben Neves that becomes a Man United player. But we have to be able to get some of these players out, maybe before we see these moves happen. So we have got lots of talk about who those players leaving could be. Axel Tuanzebe is one of them, and it's expected that Aston Villa have joined the race for his signature. We heard Newcastle wanted him, but they were umming and ahhing about the fee because United want his wages paid for the whole year, and I think they get a loan fee that will account for those wages. And it's believed it's around 5 million, which I think for Tuanzebe for a season is a fantastic one. And it's believed both Aston Villa and Newcastle are interested in a loan deal for the centre-back. And Ollie has suggested already that he's heading out on loan when he was speaking about our centre-back options. Aston Villa could be a good move for him. He's been there before. He helped them get promoted. He knows a lot of the players there. Could slide alongside Tyrone Mings. Obviously, Konza's doing well there as well, so he wouldn't go in there and be first choice. Maybe he would be at Newcastle alongside Lascelles. But he'd get more game time at Aston Villa. And if they were to play a 3 centre-halves, which a lot of teams do, in some games, he'd be able to play there as well. We know he can play at fullback. So a move to Aston Villa could be quite good for Axel Tuanzebe. Where do you guys think he should go? Should he go to Newcastle? Should he go to Aston Villa? Do you want to see him go to a different league maybe, or go to a different team? Let us know in those comments below. Baffler Sun says, jokes apart, R.E. Heaton, De Gea should start as number 1. as Dean needs more experience and needs to learn to stay calm, cut out the errors. Thoughts? I agree with you. I still think De Gea should be regarded as our number one. I thought Villa were using Konza. Says Yash. Yeah, I mentioned Konza. He says he should go to Newcastle. He's guaranteed to start, says Yash. Andy says Axel looked great at Aston Villa alongside Mings. Any more comments on Axel Tuanzebe while we're here? Tuanzebe should be sold. I don't get the hype, says Island Guy. Hype, he pocketed Mbappe, replies Lee. Send Axel to Derby with Tedam Mengi. They can play together, says Aaron. I think it's more about getting in Premier League experience, which is more important for him. Newcastle have a lot of drama surrounding them. Maybe Villa is a better fit, says Miles, which is a good point as well. He needs Prem time, but whether he can get proper game time at Newcastle or Villa, I don't care or don't know, says Rebecca. And Fabrizio Romano mentioned about the possibilities of Matic leaving. That would mean we go for a DM this summer, says Ahmed. I think we have to get rid of someone to be able to bring someone in that position just because of how many bodies we've got there. And Nemanja Matic seems to be the one that would make way and the sensible choice. You can probably get around 15 million for him as well off AS Roma. Mourinho's bought him a lot. I think he's bought him twice before. Maybe he could be a player that he brings in at Roma, because a move for Granit Xhaka has fallen through for him there. So it'll be interesting to see if they do come back in for him. But that's the latest on Axel Tuanzebe, who could be getting a move to Aston Villa or Newcastle. Andreas Pereira is another one that could be on the move as well. As we look at this one, United have put a £20 million price tag on Andreas Pereira. The pre-season payroll has been linked with a move away from Old Trafford. Fenerbahce and Lazio are rumoured destinations. Now, they'd both be good teams for him to go to. I think he went to Lazio last season, didn't he? Whether he would go there, back there on a permanent, I'm not too sure. £20 million seems a bit steep for him, considering how many times we've sent him on loan, how many times that loan hasn't really worked out. He's always ended up, you think there'd be a willingness from Manchester United to sell him. He scored a great goal the other day in the pre-season game, and we know he's got the ability to do that. He doesn't score tap-ins, he only scores bangers. The problem is he doesn't apply it enough when it really, really matters in competitive football. Now, he's been speaking recently about coming of age and becoming a man and stepping up and having some responsibility for himself. Unfortunately, I don't think that will be at Manchester United for him. I was a big fan of his when he came through, and I still want him to do well, but I don't think that will be at Manchester United. I just don't think he's ever really lived up to the potential or the talent that he's had. And maybe a move for him somewhere like Fenerbahce, Lazio. It's a good level for him, playing Serie A or playing week in, week out in Turkey. I think he'd be able to shine, maybe with a little bit of pressure off him. They're still massive clubs which will take pressure, but it's not pressure, expected to win the Premier League, expected to win the Champions League, moans and groans when you're not doing too well and all that kind of stuff. And I know their fan bases are demanded. I'm not saying they're not, but it's Europa League level, do you know what I mean? Potentially pushing into the Champions League. It's not being expected to win those trophies. Whether we could get 20 mil for him, I'm not too sure. But those are the rumours at the moment that are coming out in regards to Andreas Pereira, who is another one that could make way for Manchester United in order to free up some spot and free up some wages and some transfer budget in order to invest elsewhere and to buy that midfielder. You think you let go Andreas Pereira, you let go Nemanja Matic, you'd be able to buy another midfielder for sure, someone to fit in there in that number 6 position. Aya King says, respect from Ireland, Adam brother. It's time to let Pogba go. I can't see us winning a league while he's here. Not blaming him though. I just think it's time. We'll be speaking about Pogba soon as well. Sam Drew is in the house. Thank you for joining us. Not good enough for a Prem player, says Andy. In regards to Andreas Pereira, our squad is just too large. Don't want to stunt the growth of our academy lads by keeping Andreas, Jesse and Matic around, says Ahmed. I actually think Jesse's a useful squad player if he was to stay, but I agree with what you're saying on Andreas and Matic. When you look at the likes of Hannibal Mejbri potentially coming through and some of the other lads, Dylan Levitt, James Garner, etc., even Elanga in those forward positions. You don't want to hold them back too much and too long. So Andreas Pereira could be getting a move. Another man linked with a move is Brandon Williams as well, who could be on his way out on loan. Now, he was linked with a move to Southampton for a while, wasn't it? But now that looks like it's changed, with Norwich potentially grabbing pole position for him. They've been linked with a loan move for the Man United fullback. But with Telles injured, will Williams stay at Manchester United? Now, imagine that's dependent on whether Kieran Trippier comes in. And again, Brandon Williams could be one of those that you see leave after the season started. I think United will wait for Alex Telles to get closer to returning, to sort out the potential Kieran Trippier signing. I think we'll wait for those things to happen before we allow Diogo Dalot or Brandon Williams to go out on loan. So I expect those couple of signings, the Brandon Williams, Diogo Dalot, will happen a little bit later in the window. I'd imagine the urgent ones would be maybe Nemanja Matic, Andreas Pereira, and sorting out what's going on with Paul Pogba and Jesse Lingard. Are they going to be a part of the squad, or are they going to be leaving for next season? And then you can, find out who you're going to get in midfield. Once you've sorted that out, you can sort, your Brandon Williams, Diogo Dalot moves, which should be easy to happen, and get Kieran Trippier, which should be another one, which would be or should be easy to happen. So Brandon Williams as well, another one. Norwich coming in for him, which could be a good place for him to go. I imagine he'd play week in, week out there for Norwich. That guy says Brandon Williams would stay with Shaw and Telles injured. Fortunately, the last we heard from Luke Shaw was that he'll be okay to train and be back involved. So fingers crossed that is the case. Kessie will be a star. Even if AC Milan lost Kalanoglu, I think we can still get him. The lights just dropped there. I don't know if that's made a difference to the stream. It doesn't look like it has. As you probably saw, I nearly went for it. It's a bit unfair to complain about the presence of Deadwood after clearing out as much as Ali has. Not saying there's more to clear, but to complain longest time to clear is silly, says Mike. There must have been some complaints about that. And I tend to agree. We have to wait, don't we? And he has to always make sure he's got a balanced squad. Even if there are a few players there that you maybe don't trust or maybe don't believe in, you can't let them go until you know for sure that you're going to get somebody else in. For example, with Brandon Williams and Diogo Dalot, you probably don't fancy them for this season, but you're not going to let them go until you know Kieran Trippier is coming in for sure. The same with the midfield, Nemanja Matic, Andreas Pereira. He probably doesn't really want to rely on them for next season, but again, you can't let them go until you definitely know you're going to get someone in there for them. Now, I think United will be just looking to get them out now, so we can move on. There's been talk about Neves. Ahmed says Neves is what we need. I'd be a fan of Neves. It's more like a Carrick signing in that position, isn't it, than a destroyer in that position. Now, I do feel we need someone a little bit more aggressive in there, but his passing ability, his interception ability are good. And it'd be someone that's, his pass. Some of the things that frustrates me the most from Fred and McTominay is they lose the ball all the time. And that's something Neves wouldn't do. At 24 as well, you often think of him to be a little bit older than he is. He's only 24. Where are Garner, Levitt and Galbraith going this season? What about Ethan Laird and Mengi? Tela Mengi could be going to Derby. Ethan Laird, we're looking for a move for him in the Championship. Dylan Garner, Levitt, the same. I've not heard much about Ethan Galbraith. Sorry. I haven't heard too much about him at all, to be honest. So let's have a little look. Any reports on him? Sunderland are apparently watching him and keeping tabs on potentially loaning him. So let's see if anything happens there. Of course, as soon as something is confirmed, we will let you know here on Stretford Paddock. So make sure you're keeping it liking, commenting, sharing, all that good stuff. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Moving on from the Brandon Williams stuff. Where shall we go next? We've got so much to get through today. Let's go to Kieran Trippier, which is right there. Kieran Trippier's situation is still quiet as Man United need to clarify Diogo Dalot's future. AC Milan want him, but United are asking for a 4 million, 5 million loan fee and a buy option. Atletico are not considering Florenzi as a replacement. He's not even an option. So Kieran Trippier, we're still waiting to clarify what is going on with those other players. As I said, it's all moving parts at the minute, and once one thing happens, it will trigger the other thing to happen. Kieran Trippier, it does feel like, again, this is something that will maybe wait a little bit longer. It was like the Telles one last season. Porto were asking for a lot of money. You know, you're trying to drag them down a little bit in their price. You're trying to delay them, trying to get closer to the window. You're trying to wait for a few other things to happen. It's not quite an urgent one because you've got players in that position. So again, Trippier is going to drag on. We know that for sure. Varane's move should be completed very, very soon. There's been a few delays because he hasn't got his visa yet before he can do his medical and all those kind of things. So we're just waiting on that now. He may have to wait until next week to complete the signing of Raphael Varane. He's yet to travel to Manchester as of Monday as he awaits a visa, and he will then have to quarantine before undergoing a medical. So that's the latest on Raphael Varane. He will obviously eventually sign for Manchester United. It's just a matter of time. He spoke with Paul Pogba before joining the club as well. As you'd expect though, I mean, you know, I never get excited about these things because even if Pogba was leaving, Varane would speak to him, find out what the club's like, find out what the training facilities like, find out what the areas like, the houses, the rest. Like, they're friends. They're going to speak to each other. Even if Pogba was leaving, he's going to get advice on things. So those two speaking isn't a shock to me. Hopefully Varane and Sancho joining make Pogba want to stay and all those kind of things. But this isn't a surprise to me that those kind of things happen. Football is a small world and they'll always ask for advice from their mates. Talking about Paul Pogba, PSG would have to sell before buying Pogba. And ESPN report that Paul Pogba is happy at Manchester United, but would also be equally happy to join PSG. Well, he didn't say equally happy, so I've kind of just made that up. This is how things happen. Pogba is happy at Manchester United, but would also be happy at PSG. But Paris have to sell players before they're buying. We also heard earlier on today that Manchester United were not interested in selling Paul Pogba this summer, and they were going to hold out, wait, and get a contract sorted during the season. They will take the risk of losing Paul Pogba for free next summer and try to extend his contract in the coming weeks and months. That was coming from Fabrizio Romano in relation to Paul Pogba. So that's the latest there. But at the moment, we're hearing more things about him being happier to stay at Manchester United, which all kind of points to the fact that he might be about to sign a new deal. But who knows? Again, this looks like, as much as I keep saying I'd get it sorted this summer, sign up or sell him, get 50 million, reinvest it in Grealish if he doesn't want to sign a new contract. United aren't going to do that. It feels like Manchester United aren't selling at all, and we'll try and get him a new contract, and if we don't, then we'll deal with the consequences later, which you can have an opinion on, right or wrong, either way, but that looks like it's going to be Ollie's way of dealing with it, which he's got a lot right so far, so can't really complain. And I like Paul Pogba. I want him to be a Man United player. I just can't be arsed with all these rumours, so I wouldn't be that upset by it, but just sign a fucking contract, man. Bloody hell. I like what Rio was saying earlier, though. I thought that was pretty good from Rio earlier. Obviously, we saw Harry Kane not turn up for training, and Rio Ferdinand, much like myself, had a lot to say about it. And he said, let Paul Pogba not turn up for Man United training, and we'll see how the English media and fans go mad. Helicopter and police forces would be out searching for his location immediately, and you just know it, wouldn't it? You'd have Sky Sports with cameramen, roving cameramen chasing around everywhere, paparazzi looking. You'd have all sorts of madness going on, but when it's St. Harry Kane, when it's the England captain, when it's the man that can do no wrong, bloody hell, he doesn't even turn up. He didn't turn up. What kind of disrespect is that for your club? What kind of disrespect is that to the fans? Didn't turn up. Sounds like his record in major finals didn't turn up. Harry Kane going to City. Hopefully him going to City means they can't get Grealish. Maybe I'm just being an optimist, but I don't want to see Grealish end up in a Manchester City shirt, man. I love Grealish so much. Do not go to Manchester City. Whatever you do, don't go to City. One last thing for the day before we wrap up as well. Erling Haaland is going to be the hot point. He's going to be the hot topic next season, isn't it? Next summer, sorry. I'm running out of fuel now, as you can see. Erling Haaland swap deal rumours, true or false? Reports claim that there could be an outrageous swap deal involving Van der Beek or Martial for Erling Haaland. That isn't what I wanted to talk about today, so I've got the wrong graphic right here. That's not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was there seems to be some sort of agreement between Myrtle and Solskjaer that their prime target for next summer is going to be Erling Haaland. Now, I think we all could have guessed this with Erling Haaland's release clause, I believe, kicking in next summer. With Dortmund being more open to selling him next summer, with those kind of things shaping up, I think Erling Haaland's going to be the hot ticket next summer. And I think we'll be going all out for him. That's why I've said as well, and I've maintained this summer, that I don't think we'd be selling any strikers, especially Anthony Martial. That's why, ignore this graphic here, but Erling Haaland is going to be Manchester United's main target next summer. So I think that's the next transfer saga that will probably be gearing up from like October. As soon as the transfer window closes this summer, we'll then start hearing about next summer's targets in Erling Haaland. Let me double check we've had any new super chats. We've had them all here, so thank you very much. Got them there. Right. That's it for today in terms of headlines, in terms of news, in terms of all those things. So thank you very much for getting involved. We have got another super chat for Bafferson. Get your last few comments in if you want me to read some of them out. 21 is coming. Apart from we will remain in top 2 this year, he will be our top goal scorer. Cavani, Bruno, Mason, Sancho, and Marshall. Could have listed Marcus there as well. I'm going for Anthony Martial to be our top goal scorer this season. Our strikers are going to thrive off having Jadon Sancho there providing, and he's going to thrive off having someone that's to play football off. Anthony Martial is going to have a 30-plus goal season this season and be Man United's top goal scorer. You've heard it here first. 21 is coming. You also heard it here first. Make sure you're hitting that like button for me on this video. Make sure you're keeping it locked as well. Subscribe to Stretford Paddock. Subscribe to youtube.com/Adam McKola. Keep it locked. I'll be back in the morning with the news. So hopefully we've got loads more to talk about as the night progresses. And then I'm not sure who's with you throughout the rest of the day. And then I'll be back for the news on Wednesday as well. So I'll see you soon. Make sure you're keeping it locked. See you in a bit.